everybody. It's another episode, bright and early, sipping coffee with Spider. That's right, it's me. It's me. And I'm a bit manic, I think. But it's good to know everyone's here. I don't really know if you're here, but I don't know why I said that. Oh well. It is the 7th of September. And here's the news. From IFL Science, Harvard team claims they have recovered pieces of an interstellar object. Let's see what that means, because that's intriguing. Let's see. Avi Loeb, the sometimes controversial Harvard physicist who believes aliens may have visited the solar system. This is about those things in the ocean. He spent last month searching the Pacific Ocean for remnants of an interstellar object. The team was on the hunt for an object known as CNEOS 2014-01-08, or sometimes Interstellar Meteor 1, which flew over Papua New Guinea in 2014. The speed and trajectory of the objects made some scientists suspect that it might be interstellar in origin. In 2022, U.S. Space Command declassified data and announced that they had confirmed that this was correct. Yeah, this is how this guy says he found 700 little spheres, during the expedition. And 57 of these have now been analyzed, with the results presented in a preprint paper which has not yet been peer-reviewed. And according to Loeb, it showed a composition pattern of elements from outside the solar system never seen before. That's cool. That's cool. That doesn't necessarily mean it's like an alien or something like that. But that's cool. I think that's really interesting. What do you think? Do you think that's interesting? I do. You guys know I'm a sucker for space stuff. I'll keep an eye on that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Here's one that might rustle some folks. Some noise from the cat that just clawed me really badly. Oh my goodness. Washington Post with this ambiguous headline: he was arrested for a COVID joke. It was free speech, court rules. Let's see what the details are. Waylon Bailey was arrested in March 2020 for a coronavirus joke he posted on Facebook. It was a felony terrorism charge he faced, and a district court judge later dismissed his claims after he sued 2 employees from the parish sheriff's office. But he later appealed, and the appeal came through for him. The 3 judges ruled that Bailey's Facebook post, which joked that the sheriff's office had issued an order to shoot people infected with the coronavirus, was protected speech under the First Amendment, and that he shouldn't have been arrested. Now, that's kind of a harsh joke. You know, that's pushing it. Free speech is free speech, but that is kind of pushing it. But I don't know. For people who believe that, it's kind of tough, because there was so much misinformation from the regulated channels about what to do and what not to do, and what kind of punishment would be around if you didn't do your quarantining and your masking, that I can see people believing that. So it's not a smart world we live in. It certainly isn't. PBS NewsHour has a video that I'm not going to pull up. It says, watch, Senate GOP leader McConnell appears to freeze again, this time in Kentucky. He hit his head some time ago in a fall. Maybe not his head, but he fell down. And at press conferences, he's been having these moments where he just freezes up and stares off into space for a few seconds, up to a few minutes. And he's an old guy. And I could see him maybe having some long-term health problems starting to develop. It's probably high time for him to retire, honestly. But these people don't. They'll stay in till the very last minute. Him and Feinstein's She's completely, utterly useless, but they're only keeping her around to fill a seat. Somebody has to basically tell her to vote which way to make sure they get their votes through. So he's not that bad so far, but he could get that bad. And I don't know. Just get out once you're getting too old for it. Recognize the signs. PC Gamer has a little joke here. It says Bethesda commissioned an official Starfield song from Imagine Dragons, and if you guessed that it rhymes high with sky, you are correct. Poking some fun at the lack of imagination in a band, strangely enough, called Imagine Dragons. But Starfield's a big thing. It's their first big new IP, intellectual property, in video games in a while. We've had a lot of classics. We've had like Doom, and we've had Fallout, and we've had Elder Scrolls and stuff. There's been a couple sides like Prey was really good when they brought that back as something new, repackaged. And Starfield is brand new. The the early access for people who paid for the super expensive pre-orders and things is going on sometime today. I think no, not today. Was it? Because it's last week. I'm caught up on the it's today, it's last week, it's whatever, because the way I have the show formatted. But it will have happened by the time you get this show. So I'm interested to see if it's going to have a lot of bugs or how it's going to go. Super interested. It's going to be on Game Pass, so I'll probably play it. I don't know if I'll pay for it right off the bat. I'll probably play it on Game Pass and see how it goes, because I think that's fair. I like how Game Pass gives you like the try before you buy option. Because if I like a game, I'll replay it over and over and over and over. I will get my money's worth out of it. So playing it on Game Pass and playing it through and winning it, and then them taking it off Game Pass doesn't mean I'm just gonna be like, oh well, I played it once, now I'm done, and I get away with a free game. It means if I liked it, I'm gonna buy it. Just wait for a good sale. So I think that's smart. Associated Press, 4 people held in a problem-plagued jail in Fulton County have died over the span of a month. Fulton County, where? Let's take a look in case people don't know. And I think I mentioned this before. The jail systems in Atlanta, the jail system, the prison system's having problems. People keep escaping. There's riots that keep happening. Even here in town, the juvenile center, where you take like the juvenile offenders, which is like baby jail basically. They there was a riot and there was an escape and there's all kinds of other stuff like right here in my town. So I don't know what to do about the prison system. Some people need to get locked up, but probably a lot of people don't. But crime is just getting out of control these days, and there's no good prison facilities anymore, really, designed to deal with that kind of thing. I don't think. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments or in my email, uncannyspiritsclub@gmail.com. Another one from Associated Press. Russia earns less from oil and spends more on war. So far, sanctions are working like a slow poison. And I've mentioned this before. I mentioned this a few shows back. That Russia's economy just keeps sinking and sinking and sinking deeper into the toilet because they don't have much in the way of natural resources. They don't have much that they can export to other places. They have to import a lot of things, and then they survive kind of on what they have. And the United States, in particular, and possibly other Western countries like in Europe and whatever, have just been dialing in the sanctions and the embargoes and the tariffs and all these things to try to hit Russia in the pocketbook as often as possible for decades. Ever since the end of World War II. Ever since the end when the communists were ascendant. And we realized that making a deal with them against the Nazis was kind of like a deal with the devil, but it had to be done. We had to stop what was going on. But since then, we've just been trying to squeeze them and squeeze them and squeeze them. And that's why they hate us so much. You'd think somewhere we could have attempted to give them a break somewhere and have a dialogue before it got to the point where basically you're just 100% going to be enemies no matter what. And it's nobody's ever thought to do that. And if they did, nobody's tried. And so we're always at that point where everybody's like, oh, it's a new Cold War. Oh, it's brink of nuclear war and things like that. And it's why? Let's talk it out. Let's deal with it. Let's stop hammering them all the time. I don't think if we take the screws off a little bit that they're instantly going to boost up their war machine and come after us. Maybe they might now that we've done it, now that we've like pushed them into a corner. But if we take that first step, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. Reuters says high pasta prices set to boil over as Canada's wheat withers. Ooh, they've been having problems with those wildfires and the weather up there. And most everybody, I don't get why we all have so much importance on getting grains from the Ukraine. There's so many other places we can grow it. I mean, wheat grows just about anywhere. It doesn't need very much. You have a problem with the climate in one spot, go someplace else. It's super easy to grow. But part of the problem is that now we're growing corn everywhere for ethanol and for corn plastics and for all this other stuff, for corn syrups and whatnot. And we've taken over so many spots that used to be for wheat with corn. And so wheat has to come from specific places now, like the Ukraine, which is having this war thing with Russia, and now Canada with the wildfires. And you'd think that you could just, why doesn't the United States have vast fields of wheat? We should. You can still grow corn. There's plenty of places to grow corn, but start growing more wheat. It's not hard. Of all the crops that you could grow, wheat is one of the easiest. I'm not saying that I'm a farmer and that it's simple and I can go out and just grow it right now in my backyard. I'm saying if you have the space and if you have the area, wheat is relatively easy compared to other things. That's what I think. That's what I think. Washington Post politics stirring up the pot with Trump has yet to issue any public statements on Jacksonville killings. And I don't want this to sound insensitive, but why should he? It's not his administration right now. Besides, it's a state thing. It happened in a state. It wasn't like a national terrorist thing. It was in the state. And if people want to say, oh, well, Trump should say something because it was a racist guy. He was a white nationalist. He was this. And that's people automatically tie that to Trump. And you honestly don't know that that's what he's like. He's had people in his group, that were like that. And I'm not defending him here. I'm not saying that he's innocent of all this other stuff. I'm just saying you can't just pin every single thing that some racist person does and say Trump's involved with it. You can't do that. That's like just like conspiracy people. That's like saying that anything that involves children is Biden's fault because of all the Biden jokes about him and kids. I'm not going to say one thing one way or the other. You can't lump everything in together. That's all I'm saying. IGN. A second Five Nights at Freddy's trailer offers our best look yet at its creepy animatronic monsters. So there's a movie coming out based on this game, Five Nights at Freddy's. There's been like 5 games, some offshoot games, all for PC. There's been bootleg games. There's bootleg animation series and things. And people go nuts over this. And I don't get it. I'm not entertained. I'm not offended by it. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. But I'm not into Five Nights at Freddy. I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb. It's as far as horror games go, there are better games. There are better games, I'm saying. So I don't know. But if you're excited about it, if you want to see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, there's a second trailer and it lets you see all the robotic things. Okay? So that's what I think. Here's something interesting. Games Radar Plus says Call of Duty now uses AI to find and ban jerks. If you don't like it, the devs say you should disable voice chat. And you know what? I'm not big into the AI stuff, but I'm for that. One of the reasons I don't play multiplayer is because people are so mouthy about it. They got mouths and they're gonna spew whatever they can spew. And if you miss a shot, you suck. If you miss a point, you're trash. If you do this and you do this and you do this, you're a piece of garbage. And I don't. My feelings aren't hurt because I'm tougher than that. But I don't want to have to listen to it just because it doesn't offend me. Just because it doesn't like make me go in a corner and cry it out, doesn't mean I have to sit there and listen to people being stupidly abusive. Because it's stupid. It's stupidly abusive. It's pointless. And so I don't do it. And I think this is funny. If you're going to go on here and talk trash like this, you get banned. Deal with it. Suck it up. Save that for your friends. Save that for your friends. Don't take it out in public and just call some rando and whatever. You know, keep it to yourself. Another one from Associated Press. A whole bunch of them this week. They just came out with a left hook and just, we got the news, man. Women, children, everybody, non-genders, we got you. India and Malaysia protest China's land claim in a newly published map ahead of the G20 summit. Ooh, China's getting feisty. They got all that territory they're claiming in the East China Sea and the South China Sea and all the China Seas, whatever. And now they're taking little chunks out of India. Well, taking little chunks. China's going to reach too far one of these days. They're going to reach too far and they're going to get slapped. And people say, oh, yeah, they got one of the best militaries in the world now. But you know what? Just because there's a lot of them, just because there's big, it don't mean much. United States is still the number one military in the world, and they don't show all their capabilities. And you can bet that we could have probably gone to any of these hotspots across the globe and crushed every single one of these little ISIS and Boko Harams and all these little doofuses that think they're going to go around do whatever. The thing is, they haven't really hit our interests enough, so we haven't really cared. We've been trying to help other countries, supposedly, quote unquote, help, like Afghanistan, right? So that they can defend themselves because we have certain interests in certain parts, like some people say the oil and whatnot. But we haven't committed anything major to any of these places. But if we did, it's problematic. All right, this was from Tweaktown, who are sometimes okay and sometimes not so okay. But let's see. Lunar rover discovers hidden structures beneath the moon's surface. Have you guys been hearing about this? How there's big, massive, they call them structures. They're calling them structures. It's big masses of material, minerals and things. They're calling them structures. And it's an interesting choice of words. A group of researchers have mapped out the first 1,000 feet below the moon's, I don't know what that came from, below the moon's surface, uncovering previously unnoticed hidden structures. And let me see what it says. The first 130 feet beneath the surface of the moon is comprised of various layers of soil, dust, and broken rocks. Beneath those layers are volcanic rocks that are believed to have been created by meteor and asteroid impacts that caused lava flows. And they say that it's geologically dead. Interesting, though, that they always use the term structures. Right? Here we go. Good old Microsoft. From The Verge, it says Microsoft is using malware like pop ups in Windows 11 to get people to ditch Google and to go with Bing. So aggressively jerk face-ish. You know, jerk face-ish. You can use that. Face-ish, face-ish, face-ish. You can use that in common conversation, probably. Microsoft, you don't got to be so pushy. I've been on this thing about the Xbox, the Series X. They've got this home screen. My gosh, there's all these panels that you can't get rid of anymore. You used to be able to customize it and like say, I don't want to see a panel about movies. I don't want to see a panel about Game Pass. I don't want to see. I just want to see the stuff that I'm interested in. And now you can't. And now out of like 8 to 10 panels, 4, 5, maybe 6 of them will all be advertisements for Game Pass. Look what's on Game Pass right now. Look what's new on Game Pass. Look what's coming to Game Pass. Look what's leaving Game Pass. Please play it. And it's like, I don't need all that. I don't. It's a pain in my backside to deal with all that stuff. I don't need it. And they're just so pushy about their services. And you know, I have Game Pass. You would think if I have it, they'd see, oh yeah, on this system you have Game Pass. We don't need to advertise it so much. But they do. They do. Oh, golly, 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 gosh. Oh, man. Other than that, it's kind of a slow news night, you know? Bit of a slow news night. Now, here's something interesting. Another one from IFL Science. Neanderthal flower burial mystery at Shanidar Cave may have been solved. What is this all about? A flowery mystery has been puzzling scientists at Shanidar Cave, a rocky outcrop located on Bradist Mountain within a large mountain range in the Kurdistan region of northern Iraq, where a Neanderthal grave was found stuffed full of pollen. While some believed it to be evidence of cultural funerary practices among Neanderthals, others thought it must be animals, and now research is suggesting a new contender: bees. 9 Neanderthal skeletons were found buried in the cave during excavations in the 1950s and 60s, with a further body being discovered in a later dig. The number of remains and their organization appear to resemble a Neanderthal graveyard, with one individual having seemingly been laid to rest with a significant amount of pollen. However, many have contested the claim, arguing that the pollen may have been deposited by animals dragging flowers to their burrows. Palynology, that's the organization, may have solved the mystery, an area of science concerned with the study of plant pollen, spores, and microscopic plankton in both their living and fossilized forms. The most likely explanation is that the pollen was accumulated by nesting solitary bees, explains the authors of the paper. The pollen loads of individual bees can contain more than one species if they are foraging different species at once. Now that's interesting. Shows animals making use of old remains. That's nature reclaiming us back into the soil. The old ashes to ashes and dust to dust kind of thing, you know. That's what nature does. That's why I keep saying the environment will move on without us. Another one from Associated Press. The White House says that Putin and Kim Jong-un traded letters as Russia looks for munitions from North Korea. But North Korea really doesn't have that much. North Korea has their missile making program, but all their missiles fly into the ocean. None of them, they're all failures. You know, they don't have anything. Their people are starving to death, for goodness sake. Like, get out of here. Now, I understand the damage that North Korea could do if they had one nuke and one nuke only, and they launched it and just said, fire and forget, we don't care. Because all the world systems are automated. They detect this kind of stuff, they start prepping other launches, and then you got the end times, as they would say. But I don't know. I think they really want to be involved on the world stage just as aggressively as possible. And I think if they nuke everybody else or get everybody else to become nuked, they're going to know that they're done for. So that's what I think. More on that story. That must be the big news that Activision Blizzard to begin using AI for global real-time voice chat moderation in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So once again, if you're talking trash, look out. They're coming for you. Coming for you. Another one from Associated Press. Millions more workers will be entitled to overtime pay under a proposed Biden administration rule. Now, I mean, that's cool and all. But unfortunately, again, as I said yesterday's show, that Congress has to make the laws. The presidential branch, the executive branch, does not make the laws. It's the legislative branch that makes the laws. The president enacts the laws, and the Supreme Court makes sure that the laws are lawful. Right? So he can make these rules all that he wants, but all it's going to take is a majority in Congress to say, no, we don't like it, to shut it all back down again. And then we're right back where we were with the student loan forgiveness. They don't seem to get this. Whoever he has doing these things for him, they don't seem to understand. You learn about the branches in elementary school when you're a kid, just like you learn about basic biology and viruses. And people didn't seem to understand that the last few years, and they're still being goofy about that. But come on, this is how politics works. It's three branches. One does this, one does that, one does this. You can't keep pumping out executive orders and making up new rules. You have to have Congress make a law. You have to, or it's going to get shot down. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Another one from Tweaktown. Microsoft has no intention of leaving Xbox Series S behind, and that's really a disservice to everybody playing on the latest generation of Microsoft console, because the Series S is not as good as the X. The hardware is not as good. The storage is not as good. The overall everything about it is not as good. Sure, it's more affordable, but a lot of the big games don't run the same. It's like having a slightly more powerful Xbox One from the last generation. It's not the same. It's not the same. And here's one more little tidbit for you folks. Gaming news from IGN. Get excited. The Elder Scrolls 6 officially in early development. But don't expect to hear about it soon. And that's typical Bethesda. They'll get this stuff like started on it, and they'll stay quiet about it, and then they'll work on it for years. I expect this to come out maybe in 2025 at the earliest, but probably not even then. Probably 2027, to be fair. They're putting out Starfield now. They're going to support that for a few years at least before Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out. Now then you have to decide what's going to come out first. Elder Scrolls 6 or Grand Theft Auto 6 from Rockstar. Because everybody's clamoring for that too. Everybody's like, oh, good, Grand Theft Auto, interrupting press conferences and raising fits about it. But whatever. Yeah, whatever. It'll get here when it gets here. And if it's Elder Scrolls, I'll probably buy it. Not interested in Grand Theft Auto, but I will buy Elder Scrolls probably when it eventually gets here. So that's it. There's some news stories for you for the morning. I know earlier I said night again. I'm just in that habit. Like I keep thinking that it's nighttime and it's not. It's going to get even worse once it starts getting into the deep winter when it's all dark all the time here in Ohio. Questions, comments, concerns, veiled insults, and threats, send them to uncannyspiritsclub@gmail.com or put them on this video, and I will respond if they are cordial. If they're not, I'm going to ignore you. Maybe I'll block you. I don't know. Depends on how much you entertain me with your petty little insults. Yeah. I'll see you folks at breakfast time tomorrow.